Welcome guys, today, I'm going to show you how I mix and master my tracks. But before I start the video, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for helping me reach 700 subs. This means a lot to me. Alright, let's get right into it. Mixing is a vital part to produce tracks, regardless of which genre of music you make. It helps our track to sound better and professional. A good mix can be achieved by just using simple tricks, such as equalizing, stereo enhancing, and of course, everyone's favorite, OTT. For this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how I mixed the previous tutorial's track. By proper mixing, you can make your track to sound from something like this. To this. And finally to this. Let's start with the chords. As you can see here, there's a lot of sub-frequencies. We can eliminate them using an equalizer. Let's go to the mixer, and I'll show you. Now as for mixing the drop synths, I don't usually do a lot. I just add an OTT and an equalizer to clean out the sounds. Now for the chords, I first add an OTT or camel crusher to enhance the sound, as per my liking, and then add an EQ to cut the low frequencies like this. Also, if you're layering drop synths, it's good to make some layers stereo, as it would sit better in the mix and sound good overall. Also after mixing, keep in mind to turn down the volume knob of each and every sound until it hits around -12 dB. I'll explain why later. And I highly recommend you guys to make separate buses for drop leads, chords, etc. After mixing the chords separately, I process them all together at their bus channel. Here, I used an EQ to cut the low frequencies, sausage fattener to make them thick, stereo enhancing, an EQ to eliminate the harsh frequencies like this, and finally, a low-cut EQ again. For the bass, there are sub-frequencies which we don't need, so I took them out by using an EQ like this. But before that I added OTT, just like the chords. Also, don't forget to level out the sounds. For the bass bus, I added a low cut to eliminate the sub-frequencies, sausage fattener for thickness, and a post EQ to take out the sub-frequencies. I also took out the high mid to treble area like this to leave room for the chords and lead. For the sub, I used an EQ to high cut the frequencies like this and put it all the way to mono. For the sub bus, I used the high cut EQ again and added sausage fattener. By the way, don't worry about the plugins I've put in the bottom. They're just for effects. Now for the drums, for all the sweeps, snares, rides, hi-hats and others, use an EQ to low-cut them. You won't hear, but they would eventually add up the unwanted sub-frequencies, which would ruin your mix entirely. Also, I link the kick and snare to the drum bus and add either Fruity Blood Overdrive or FabFilter Saturn to saturate them. And finally, don't forget to add sidechain. This helps the kick to punch through the mix. I link all the drop buses to the sidechain bus and open Fruity Balance. Automate the volume knob and create a curve something like this. Remember, sidechaining is very important, so don't forget about it while mixing. Now that our track is well mixed, I'll explain about the -12 decibels part. Bringing down the volume of all the sounds from your track to -12 decibels would leave some headroom for mastering. This process is called gain staging. Doing this would allow us to avoid clipping or distorting your track while mastering. Cool, we can now export our track for mastering. Press Ctrl+R to export it as a WAV file. For exporting, I recommend using these same exact settings for high quality. Feel free to copy them. For mastering, I open a new project and put the same BPM. Then place your track on the playlist. First, I use FabFilter Pro Q3 to cut the lowest frequencies around 33 Hz to 35 Hz to avoid limiting them as well. I then add FabFilter Pro MB to automate the low end like this if it's kind of too much. Next, I glue the track by adding a compressor. I put the ratio to 2:1, fast release and slow attack, and threshold around 12. I then open FabFilter Pro L and choose a suitable style for the track. And bring up the gain until I'm satisfied. Don't bring it up too much, or it will distort your track. Next, I use Ozone 5 Imager. I brought down the sub-frequencies to mono as you can see here and gradually bring up the stereo bands like this, but not too much. Finally, I use Ozone 5 Equalizer and make a high-cut brick wall at 16,000 Hz like this to eliminate the harsh high frequencies. Then, I simply open an EQ to see if all the areas are well present like this. If not, you can adjust it with EQ or go back to the project and directly adjust accordingly. Next, I use a free plugin called Lean Loudness Meter 2 to check how loud my track is. Also, don't be obsessed with the loudness of your track, because even if your track is at -6 decibels, streaming platforms such as Spotify and YouTube bring down the loudness to around -14 decibels if I'm correct. After adding all of these plugins, I usually put sausage fattener at the end like this to limit the track to 0 decibels. And you're done. Congratulations, you just learned how to mix and master your next banger. However, remember that mastering is just a process to make your existing mixed track louder and compressed for releasing them. And keep in mind that all of our tracks and mixing techniques are uniquely different. So you should not copy my exact settings. But applying these techniques would really improve your track. And the pro tip for this tutorial is to automate certain parameters such as reverb wetness, EQ and others to further improve your track's quality. It is all up to your creativity. If you like this tutorial, hit the like button for more awesome content like these. And subscribe. I'll be giving away a free future bass and cinematic drum kit at 750 subs. Peace.